Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kate. Today I'm going to talk about some of my favourite books that I read in 2020. There are some really great ones on this list and I hope you like them, so let's get into it. The first book I'm going to talk about is actually the series as a whole because I loved all 4 books so much. It's the Royally series by Emma Chase and the first book is Royally Screwed. It's about a girl called Olivia who lives in New York, and one day while she's working in her family's bakery, a mysterious, well not really mysterious, but a guy comes in and he turns out that he is the Prince of xoxo, which is a country, they described it as between England and Scotland, so in Britain somewhere, and they kind of have a love-hate relationship at first, but it quickly develops into something more, and it's kind of just the whole you know that movie Prince and Me vibe, where like a girl goes into a European royal family and just has to figure everything out, and there's a lot of trials for her and she makes a lot of mistakes, and it's just about Nicholas and Olivia and the relationship and how they can beat the odds and survive as a couple. The enjoyment level of this book and the series as a whole is just through the roof. The plots are great, the characters are amazing, I love them all. The books are so funny and I just had a smile on my face when I was reading the whole series, so it was definitely a really good read to start the year off with. Even though I love all the books in the series, the second one, Royally Matched, is definitely my favourite. It's about Prince Nicholas's younger brother Henry and his love interest Sarah, and their story takes place within a bachelor style love game show, so it's just a hoot the whole way through and it's actually amazing. Something sad I have to address when talking about Royally Screwed is that the author, Emma Chase, has actually been accused of plagiarism by another author, Pamela Dumond. Pamela claims that Emma Chase repurposed her book Part-Time Princess and then published it as Royally Screwed by Emma Chase. I've left Pamela's GoFundMe below if you want to read more information about it, because she does give a little bit of a more detailed idea of the whole drama going on, but I did want to include the Royally series in my favorites of 2020 because it definitely was a favorite, but I just thought I'd give you that information so you can choose whether or not you would like to read it, because I did read it before any of this drama came out, so I'll give you guys the option to choose whether to read it or not and support Emma Chase. The next book I absolutely loved in 2020 is Blockshot by Kennedy Ryan. It is number 2 in the Hoop series. I've not read the third one, but I have read the first one, Longshot, and it's amazing as well. Blockshot just has a special place in my heart. The book is about Jared and Banner, and they are rival publicists for NBA basketball players. They had a brief relationship in college, but something bad happened that caused a fracture between the two, and they've been enemies ever since. The book picks up from there and we get to follow their wild relationship. I cannot describe my love for this book. Banner is an absolute queen. I loved Jared and I loved the discourse around body positivity and being a plus size woman in, I guess, Hollywood. She definitely is in the public eye. And then we also got a look into the life of NBA players and what it's like to be a publicist in that world. So it's a sports romance as well, I guess. I would recommend reading Longshot first, but just as a warning, there are some very strong themes, so definitely check out Goodreads for some trigger warnings on that one, and if you're up to it, I definitely say go for it. My next favourite book of 2020 is Trust by Jana Aston. It is number 3 in her Cafe series, and it follows a girl named Chloe who finds herself the last single girl, I guess, in her little friend group, and she's just kind of like, I don't know, my career is great, I love my life, I love my friends, but I just don't see how romance can fit into my life, because she does suffer from anxiety and that really affects her in the dating scene. The book follows Chloe and an FBI agent named Boyd, who she meets under very unusual circumstances, as they set out on a fake relationship so that she can practice for the real deal. And I guess we all know where that will go. Fake relationships in a romance novel. I love this book so much. I love Chloe, I love Boyd, I love all of the side characters who we've already met in the previous books. I do also recommend the other books, but Trust is just my favourite. The book is pretty short and I find myself rereading it very often for that reason, and just because I love it so much. The series as a whole is so bingeable. You could read it in a day if you wanted to, because the characters are so great, it's really fast, and the enjoyment factor is just 10 out of 10. Another book I read in 2020 was Normal People by Sally Rooney, which I do have a physical copy of, and this book was actually adapted into a series which came out this year, and I feel like everyone and their mum watched it in lockdown. It was so popular and so good, so true to the book, and it's just an amazing adaptation. The book follows Marianne and Connell, who go to high school together, and they are total opposites. Marianne is very withdrawn, very quiet, keeps to herself, and Connell is a popular rugby player with lots of friends. Despite their differences, they do form a romantic relationship in high school which ruptures, and they're separated until they're ultimately reconnected at university, where their roles have completely reversed. I love this book so much. I loved how it dealt with the transition between high school and university, how you change, how other people change, and the whole idea of, opposites attracting, and how you can make really intense connections with people even if from the outset it looks like you have nothing in common. I read the book before I watched the series, but I still love the series so much. I got the same feeling, the same essence, I guess, from the series as I did from the book. So if you don't want to read it, just watch the series, I guess, but they were both amazing and definitely favourites of the year. The next book is quite possibly one of my favourite books of all time. I remember when I finished reading it, I put it down and I thought, oh my god, what did I just read? That was amazing. That will stick with me forever. And it truly has. Like, I think about it all the time. And that book is Culty by Mariana Zapata. Culty is about a soccer player named Sal, and she is playing soccer with a team, not nationally or anything, even though she totally could because she's a prodigy, she's amazing, but things have happened and she's kind of just been downtrodden in the industry. So she's playing with a team and she loves it. And one day, her soccer star, her inspiration throughout all of her soccer career, Reynard Culty, he is literally like the equivalent of David Beckham. He comes to coach her little soccer team in the US. He is German and he comes to the team. She is so excited because he's her hero, but he gets there and he's like a raging asshole, and she's like, okay, not what I was expecting. Initially, Culty has a real deep dislike for Sal. He doesn't care for her, he's really hard on her. And similarly, like, Sal is so mad that her soccer hero is such a dick that she dislikes him as well. She hates him just as much as he hates her. But as the book progresses, so does their relationship, and they actually become friends, and they have the sweetest relationship. I tell you, it just tugs at the heartstrings so much. And then the book just follows them and Sal in her soccer career, and how this mentor that she has loved forever really just fits into her life. And I don't know, I can't even describe it. It's just so perfect. Please read it. It's very slow burn. Mariana Zapata, I actually read all of her books this year because I'm so in love, but they are slow burn. So if you're really looking for something hot and heavy, this is not it. But I tell you, the story is just amazing and I will love it forever. The next book I'm going to talk about is The Truth About Heartbreak by B. Celeste, and it follows River, who's a young girl who's been in the foster system practically her whole life. She's been abused, treated badly, and she's just had a really hard time until one day she's adopted by a really loving family consisting of a mum, a dad, and an adoptive brother named Oliver. When River joins the family, she finds that her brother has a best friend named Everett who is a real fixture in their lives and he's always around. And when River and Everett meet, they form a really deep connection that continues on for years and years. I believe the book goes from when River is 13 to when she's 23, and it just focuses on her and Everett's relationship and how they kind of keep missing each other, and about how life is hard and love is not always able to prevail. But it does have a beautiful ending, and it really did teach me about heartbreak, I guess, because I don't know, it just broke my heart but put me back together by the end. And it is a beautiful story, and I definitely recommend you read it. It is amazing. I loved it so much. Chef's kiss. The next book I read and loved in 2020 was also my most anticipated book of the year. It was Nightfall by Penelope Douglas, which is the final installment of the Devil's Night series, which is actually my favorite series in the whole wide world. I read it last year and I was just fangirling. I loved it so much. I can't even describe it. I'm obsessed. The series as a whole revolves around a group of 4 boys who are arrested one year for the crimes they committed on Devil's Night, which is the night before Halloween. And 3 years later, 3 of the boys are released from prison and they decide to take revenge on the girl who they believe is responsible for putting them in jail in the first place. Fast forward a few years and Nightfall takes place, and a lot has happened within the group in the previous books, but that's another video. I too much to explain right here. But Nightfall is about Will and Emery is from Will's past, and he still holds a massive grudge against her. He believes he needs to take revenge against her for the things that she has done, and she finds herself in a legendary prison meant for, I guess, rebellious rich young boys, which Will also happens to be in at this point of time, and he decides to take his revenge. I was so excited for this book. I've always loved Will throughout all the other books, and I've loved Emery too, even though she's never actually physically on the page. She is alluded to sometimes, and I've just always been fascinated with her character and find out more about her, and she really lived up to my expectations. She is such a strong woman who has gone through so much in her life, and I just loved her so much, and I loved her and Will together. The book did take a bit of a different turn than I was expecting. The author, Penelope Douglas, had a lot of loose ends to tie up because this series is so massive and so much happens. So I wish there was kind of a bit more focus on Emery and Will as a couple, but I still loved it so much, and what I did get of them, I loved with all of my heart, and the book was just so enjoyable. I have reread it since, and I did enjoy it even more, so I know I loved it, and it was just the perfect end for the series, and I'm at peace with where the characters are, and it's just so epic. So if you want to read it, definitely read it. Some strong themes, read the descriptions and everything like that. It's a bit of a dark romance too, so if you're into that, go for it. But I loved it so much. I love Nightfall, and it was just so perfect, and I'm so happy I got to read it and I even found this series in the first place. The next two books are part of the Grip series by Kennedy Ryan. There are 3 books, Flow, Grip and Still. I've not read Still, so this is just about Flow and Grip, but when I tell you that these 2 books were amazing and momentous, I mean it. Like, they were epic. I loved it so much. The Grip series follows an African-American rapper named Grip and his publicist and best friend, and I guess former brief lover named Bristol, who is a white woman, and helps him navigate his career and just their love story, which is very big. The series follows Grip's rise to fame and how Bristol helps him out with that and supports him in that, and of course their love story along the side. But there were also so many moments in which police brutality against African Americans was addressed, and about the struggles of BIPOC people in the United States, but especially African Americans. And it was just so enlightening, and I feel like I learned so much whenever I read Kennedy Ryan's books. She teaches me so much about the issues that African Americans and minorities are facing in the US, but even like in my own life, I can apply that to the situations I'm in, and I just love her books so much. There's so much wisdom in them, and even when dealing with those hard topics, she is able to execute a beautiful love story, which is not at all like minimized by the other issues she addresses. She's just amazing, and I loved this book so much. I will always keep it close to my heart. I can't wait to read Still. I just haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm sure I'll love it just as much. But what can I say? It was just momentous, and I love this series so much. I love Grip, I love Bristol, I love the side characters, and I know it's a bit of the fame, the exoticness of being in the music industry, so you get a little glimpse into that too, which is a lot of fun. The last book I'm going to talk about in this video is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I feel like everyone in the book community has read it this year, but it is really just an amazing, light-hearted, beautiful book. It is about January and Augustus, who are college rivals, and they are both actually best-selling authors at this point in their lives. January writes romance and Augustus writes thriller, crime, drama, I guess, books. So a bit more intense. They're very on the opposite ends of the spectrum. They find themselves in the same beach town over summer. They're actually next door neighbours, and they're both quite disillusioned with their work. They are in a creative rut and they don't really know where to go with their next ideas. So they decide to switch genres for the summer. January will write a best-selling thriller, and Gus will try and write a fluffy, beautiful romance book. And it's just really cute and funny. There's lots of great banter. They are really well suited duo, and the book just follows their relationship over the summer and the adventures they go on to research for their books. And there are also some really deep moments where January deals with his past and Gus deals with his past, and they learn how, you know, they've been shaped into these new people who really fit together. And it was just a beautiful book, but it was still really fluffy and lovely and just gave me all the feels. So I definitely recommend it. It was most definitely a staple in the romance community this year, so it's a great one to read. So that's it for this video. I loved all of these books so much, and I can't wait to read some new favorites in 2021. So thank you for watching this video if you did, and I'll see you next time. Bye.